Introduction. Friends, if you're excited to dive into the mysterious, clever, and absolutely thrilling universe of Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, then you're in the right place. If you're watching our channel for the very first time, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because today's video is packed with everything you need to know about one of the most awaited mystery films of the year. Yes, we're talking about Wake Up Dead Man. The next chapter in the Knives Out franchise has already captured the hearts of millions around the world with its sharp storytelling and unforgettable detective Benoit Blanc. In today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into what makes this movie so exciting. We'll talk about the story, the twists and turns, the characters, and what kind of mystery awaits us this time. But that's just the beginning. I'll also walk you through all the places where you can watch this film. Whether you're looking to stream it on a popular OTT platform or wondering if it will be available on any satellite TV channels, I've got all the information you need. So if you're itching to find out how to experience this gripping mystery in the comfort of your home or on the big screen, stay with us because we're covering it all. But that's not all. We'll go behind the scenes and explore the technical brilliance of this film. We'll talk about the cinematography, how the film is shot, how it looks and feels. We'll explore the lighting, the sound design, and the stylish production that gives Knives Out its signature modern whodunit vibe. I'll also break down the work of the music department. Who's behind the score? How does the music help build tension? Is it classical and suspenseful, or does it add an unexpected twist of mood and tone? We'll cover all that in detail. And of course, we can't ignore the entire process that brought this film to life. From the early pre-production stages when the script was being developed and the cast was being assembled, to the filming process where every shot was carefully crafted, and finally the post-production phase where everything is polished to perfection. We'll also look into the film's budget, how much money was spent on making this mystery come alive, and how well it performed at the box office. Was it a blockbuster hit? Did it break franchise records? We'll dive into the numbers and the reactions from audiences around the world. Now, let's talk about the heart of the movie, the story itself. Without giving away any spoilers, I'll give you a sneak peek into the kind of mystery you can expect. Who are the suspects? What kind of murder or crime is being investigated? What makes Benoit Blanc's return so fascinating this time? I'll offer a short but sharp review of the story and what makes it stand out compared to the previous Knives Out films. We'll also explore all the hidden facts, trivia, and behind-the-scenes stories that fans love to know. What was the inspiration behind the plot? Did the actors improvise any scenes? Were there any unexpected challenges during filming? All those little nuggets that make watching the film even more enjoyable. And of course, we'll break down the full star cast. Who's playing who? Which actors are joining the franchise this time? How did each performer bring their character to life? We'll discuss their roles, their performances, and how each character adds to the tension, drama, and fun of the mystery. Whether a returning favorite or a new face, I'll help you get to know every player in this puzzle. So, if you're a fan of brilliant storytelling, clever mysteries, and movies that keep you guessing to the very end, I highly recommend you stick around and watch this video till the very last second. There's so much to explore, so much to enjoy, and so much to get excited about when it comes to Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. So, without wasting any more time, let's start the video. The plot of Wake Up Dead Man. A Knives Out mystery unravels like an ancient riddle etched in stained glass and lit by candlelight. This isn't just another case of Benoit Blanc. It's a tale that stretches the boundaries of the murder mystery format into something haunting, symbolic, and strangely spiritual. From a very first scene, the audience is pulled into an atmosphere thick with superstition and tension. The film opens not with the usual quirky gathering of suspects, but with the eerie discovery of a body found staged in a way that resembles a religious tableau. A man is posed like a martyr in a field beside a half-collapsed church, surrounded by cryptic religious symbols and a message scrawled in ash that simply reads, "He woke too late." Right from the start, the narrative signals that this isn't just a mystery. It's a confession, a ritual, maybe even a curse. What follows is anything but linear. The structure is deliberately fractured. Time slips forward and backward. Scenes repeat from new perspectives. We're never quite sure if we're watching the truth or someone's attempt to rewrite it. Rian Johnson leans fully into nonlinear storytelling here. It works like a puzzle box where the solution changes based on how you turn it. We're introduced to a cast of characters who seem at first like exaggerated archetypes. The disillusioned televangelist, the silent groundskeeper, the angry adopted daughter of a religious patriarch, the washed-up rock star turned doomsday prophet. But slowly, their roles start to dissolve and reveal deeper identities. No one is what they seem, and that's not just a twist. It's a theme. The film explores the layers we wear to survive trauma, to cover up guilt, or to cling to belief in something when reality feels unbearable. Benoit Blanc arrives in this world not with the suave confidence we've seen before, but with a sense of weariness. It's clear he's been changed by past cases. He's quieter, more reflective, even spiritually curious. His arrival marks the start of the unpeeling. As he interviews the townsfolk, we realize we're not in an isolated manor anymore. This is a small community entangled by years of secrets, debts, betrayals, and myths that people whisper but never confront. The victim, it turns out, wasn't beloved or hated, but feared. He was a symbol of something larger, a reckoning. And that's where the story becomes something more than murder. There's a pivotal moment, roughly at the halfway point, when a second body is discovered in a forgotten grave, perfectly preserved, wearing the same clothes as the first victim. This is a shockwave that resets the board. Suddenly, the question isn't just who did it, but what actually happened. From here, the timeline starts breaking down. Flashbacks blur with hallucinations. One character's memory is shown in a dreamlike haze, while another's flashback contradicts what we thought we knew. It becomes clear that the town itself has been keeping a collective lie alive, and the murder was a rupture in that illusion. Blanc doesn't just ask questions this time. He challenges people's entire beliefs. He stages reenactments, he recites sermons. He confronts characters with their own hypocrisies and forgotten sins. One especially gripping sequence shows him leading a symbolic wake for the dead man, not to honor him, but to summon the truth out of those left behind. The idea of resurrection runs through the plot, not in a literal sense, but emotional and psychological. Everyone in the film is trying to resurrect something. A relationship, a lost child, a buried truth, a faith in something bigger than themselves. The climax is breathtaking not for its action, but for its quiet horror. It doesn't take place in a courtroom or living room, but in an underground crypt beneath the church, lit only by flickering lanterns. Here, the true motive is finally revealed, and it has less to do with murder than with revenge disguised as redemption. A character admits they orchestrated everything, not to kill, but to expose. They wanted the town to see itself, to remember what it had buried. The murder was only the spark. And then, just as the credits seem near, the story twists again. The final 15 minutes of the film rewind us to a conversation that occurred quietly in the background early in the movie. A young girl, dismissed as a silent observer, is revealed to have known the truth the entire time. Her story reframes everything, and suddenly we're seeing the entire mystery from a fresh angle, one that casts even Blanc in a new light. He didn't miss the clues. He ignored them, choosing instead to follow the larger mythos. That decision, noble or not, changes the moral texture of the entire story. Emotionally, the film doesn't just entertain, it unsettles. It asks viewers to think about what justice means when truth is subjective, and whether sometimes letting a lie live is kinder than destroying it. The story is layered with religious metaphor, existential dread, and moments of dark humor that punctuate the heaviness with wit. It's a narrative told in fragments, reflections, and contradictions. It mirrors memory itself, distorted, shaped by feeling, and impossible to trust entirely. What makes Wake Up Dead Man truly fascinating is how it uses the murder mystery format, not just to pose a question of who did it, but to peel back the illusions we all live under. The plot doesn't just build toward a killer's identity. It builds toward emotional clarity. The murder is a mystery, yes, but the story is about everything that led up to that moment. Everything people believed, denied, or pretended wasn't happening. And that's what makes the narrative so powerful. It's not just solving a death. It's waking up to what had already died long before. The character development in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, doesn't follow the usual checklist of introductions, breakdowns, and redemptions. Instead, it flows like a psychological maze, each character built on layers of denial, performance, and internal chaos. These aren't just people reacting to a murder. They are tightly wound coils of guilt, ego, trauma, and repressed memory, each unraveling in their own time and way. Their growth doesn't come in neatly wrapped monologues or life-changing realizations. It comes in silences, glances, breakdowns behind closed doors, and moments of truth spoken so quietly you almost miss them. The murder is just a crack. What's compelling is what spills out from inside. Once that crack begins to widen. Benoit Blanc is the gravitational center of this mystery, but not in the way you'd expect. Gone is a more flamboyant, theatrical showman we've seen in previous entries. This version of Blanc feels heavier, not in a dark or brooding way, but in the way someone feels when they've spent years digging into people's worst moments. He doesn't approach this mystery like a game or a puzzle. He approaches it like a confession booth. You can feel that he's looking for something more than a killer. He's looking for meaning, maybe even penance. Throughout the film, he listens more than he speaks, letting others reveal themselves. His questions are softer, more philosophical. He's no longer just the observer or the detective. He's a part of the emotional current of the story. His development comes not in a single revelation, but in how he changes the way he sees justice, truth, and the moral cost of digging too deep. Then there's Lydia Drysdale, the public face of healing and enlightenment, who slowly crumbles into the person she spent years trying to erase. On the surface, she's perfectly curated. Her words polished, her wardrobe curated for soft spirituality. She speaks in rehearsed platitudes about peace, forgiveness, and energy, but all of that is armor. She's terrified of being seen for what she was before, the ambitious, manipulative businesswoman who climbed to the top using whatever leverage she could. Her arc is one of forced confrontation. The murder drags out a version of her she thought she'd buried. At first, she resists, lashing out at anyone who questions her new persona. But eventually, she breaks. And when she does, it's not with violence or scandal, but with a slow, shuddering surrender to truth. Her final moments in the film are among the quietest but most powerful. Just a woman sitting alone, stripped of all her projections. Marcus Vale is one of the film's most tragic characters. Once a preacher, then an author, now a recluse haunted by the past. He's introduced with cynicism and self-deprecating wit, as someone who spent too long hiding from what he saw and what he failed to do. At first, he plays the role of the jaded outsider, above the drama and uninterested in involvement, but his arc pulls him into the emotional core of the story. It's revealed that the murder victim once saved him, or maybe doomed him, depending on how you interpret it. Marcus has been living with survivor's guilt, convinced that he abandoned someone when they needed him most. His development doesn't come from solving the crime, but from reclaiming the parts of himself he tried to exile. His breakdown is subtle, just a look, a tremble in his voice, a refusal to keep lying. His arc brings heart to the film. He represents the cost of silence and the pain of delayed accountability. Then there's a seemingly insignificant figure, young, quiet Iris, who works as a personal assistant and is barely acknowledged in the first third of the movie. But as the plot deepens, so does her presence. She's always there, always watching, taking in every detail, while everyone else performs their version of the truth. Her arc is a slow burn. She begins as background noise and ends as the emotional keystone of the story. The film reorients around her in the final act, showing us how often we overlook those who hold the deepest insight. Iris represents clarity, not flashy or intellectual, but raw and empathetic. She doesn't just witness the crime. She understands its emotional architecture. Her confrontation with the killer is the opposite of dramatic. It's calm, knowing, and morally grounded in a way no one else is. Her growth lies in finding her voice, not just to speak truth, but deliver it without fear. The supporting characters orbit around these central arcs like satellites with their own tangled gravity. A pair of siblings, each convince the others to blame for everything that's gone wrong since childhood, spiral through a long-buried rivalry that bubbles over in a series of explosive arguments. Their dynamic is ugly, vulnerable, and heartbreakingly real. They don't reconcile with a hug. They reconcile by finally allowing space for one another's grief, even if it's messy and imperfect. There's also the local mayor, who plays the fool but turns out to be the most calculating of the bunch. His entire arc is built around the slow exposure cowardice hidden behind charm. He doesn't grow so much as decay, his lies rotting out from under him layer by layer. What makes these characters so rich is how interconnected their arcs are. Their relationships push each other toward growth or destruction. Their lives feed into one another, creating a tangled ecosystem of guilt and half-truths that only Blanc can navigate. The characters aren't moved forward by plot. They move the plot themselves, bending it with their decisions, their fears, and their unraveling sense of self. Each choice they make reshapes the mystery. Every personal revelation echoes through the story like a dropped stone in still water, rippling outward and exposing more. Thematically, their growth reflects the film's deeper questions about truth, identity, and how far people will go to protect the stories they've told themselves. Some characters transform through guilt, others through rage. A few resist transformation altogether, and their refusal to change becomes its own kind of tragedy. The murder isn't just a disruption, it's a reckoning. And by the end, whether they're broken, redeemed, or just stripped bare, every character is changed. Not because they solved a mystery, but because they were forced to look at the part of themselves they've been hiding from the world, and sometimes even from themselves. The performances in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, are more than impressive. They're transformational. This isn't a film where the actors simply inhabit roles. It's one where they embody truths, lie through their teeth with terrifying grace, and carry invisible wounds that feel like they've been festering long before the first frame. Every character walks into this mystery wearing a mask, and the way the actors choose when and how to let those masks slip is nothing short of masterful. It's a cinematic dance of control, vulnerability, manipulation, and emotional revelation, performed with so much detail and control that even quiet glances feel like detonations. Daniel Craig returns as Benoit Blanc with a performance that feels almost mythic in its evolution. Where once Blanc strutted through mysteries like an eccentric showman armed with metaphors and bravado, here he carries a slower, almost mournful energy. There's a weight behind his words now. Craig gives him a quiet edge, a wisdom hardened by years of seeing the ugliest parts of human nature. He doesn't leap into this case with fire in his belly. He steps into it like a man already bracing for emotional turbulence. His humor is still there, but it's tempered by reflection. You can see him calculating, watching people not just to find a murderer, but to understand why these people have built such elaborate lies to protect themselves. Craig's brilliance lies in the way he listens, the way he holds eye contact just a second too long, the way his southern drawl softens when someone's on the verge of breaking. He becomes less a detective in this installment and more of an emotional architect, carefully dismantling facades, brick by emotional brick. One of the most unforgettable performances in the film comes from the actress portraying Lydia Drysdale. At first, she's ethereal, immaculate, projecting the serenity of a woman who's reinvented herself from ruthless tech mogul to spiritual guru. Her performance begins as tightly choreographed as her public image. Soft tones, practiced smiles, gentle movements. But the genius of her acting lies in the slow unraveling. You can almost pinpoint the exact moment her cracks begin to show. It's not in a scream or breakdown, but in a trembling breath she tries to conceal. From that moment on, she transforms entirely, not with costume changes or dramatic dialogue, but with her presence. Her shoulders hunch, her voice lowers, her stare sharpens. By the end of the film, she's not just exposed, she's unrecognizable from the polished image we met at the beginning. Watching her slowly lose control while trying desperately to preserve her manufactured persona is mesmerizing, and every scene she's in throbs with that volatile pressure. Then there's Marcus Vale, played with aching subtlety and emotional rawness. His character is a storm cloud that never bursts but rumbles with intensity just beneath the surface. He's one of the film's quietest presences, and yet carries one of the heaviest emotional burdens. The performance doesn't rely on theatrics. It's in the eyes, in the pacing of his speech, in the pauses before he says something he'll regret. The actor captures the torment of a man who has spent years convincing himself he did the right thing, only to realize too late that survival isn't the same as justice. In one chillingly understated scene, he sits alone on the edge of a bed, reading a letter he never sent. There's no music, no dialogue, just his face slowly falling apart. That kind of stillness is rare and deeply powerful. And then there's Iris. If there's a secret MVP in the film, it's her. played by a younger actress whose name may not have headlined the posters, but will likely dominate awards conversations afterward. She carries the film's moral center. Her performance is a masterclass in understatement. While other characters explode or manipulate or posture, Iris simply exists, but she does so with precision and depth. For much of the film, she says very little, and yet her presence grows stronger in every scene. She uses silence as a weapon. Her glances cut through the noise. Her arc is the quietest, but it's the one that changes the game. And when she finally speaks, really speaks, you feel every unspoken thought she's been carrying. It's like a dam breaking, not in a burst of drama, but in a carefully measured flood that drowns all the lies around her. Even the supporting cast delivers like they're leading the show. The town's aging mayor, initially dismissed as a fumbling side character, turns sinister in ways that creep up slowly. The actor doesn't play the transition as a twist. He lets it ooze out scene by scene, his charm thinning until it reveals the rot beneath. There's also a funeral director with barely 20 minutes of screen time, but the performance is unforgettable. His calm demeanor, his poetic turns of phrase, and the way he seems to understand everyone's grief before they do. It's hypnotic. He feels like the conscience of the town, a figure who floats between scenes delivering truth in riddles and warnings no one takes seriously until it's too late. What makes these performances so compelling is how they interact. This cast doesn't just act, they challenge each other. Scenes between Lydia and Marcus feel like intellectual duels. Interrogations with Blanc are like emotional chess matches. There's no dead air, no filler lines. Every exchange is brimming with tension, memory, resentment, or fear. The ensemble's chemistry is undeniable. You feel the history between them. The way old grudges simmer beneath polite smiles. How every small kindness could be a setup for betrayal. That emotional layering isn't in the script alone. It's in the actors' choices. In how long they hold a stare. In who avoids whose eye. In the way they flinch at a name. It's rare to see a mystery film where the acting doesn't just complement the puzzle, but deepens it. The more these actors reveal about their characters, the more twisted and human the story becomes. They don't just carry the plot. They pull apart and rebuild it with every moment of hesitation, rage, regret, or honesty. And by the end, you're not just trying to figure out who committed the murder. You're trying to understand who these people really are, beneath all their versions of the truth. Because in a film built around lies, it's the performances that keep you believing. Rian Johnson's direction in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, doesn't just guide the audience through a murder mystery. It immerses them in a carefully layered cinematic maze where every hallway is fogged with tension and every room whispers with secrets. From the opening shot to the final lingering frame, Johnson proves again that he doesn't merely direct with his eyes. He directs with emotional precision, narrative finesse, and a deep understanding of how to transform a genre exercise into something deeply human. While the title suggests death and darkness, Johnson isn't interested in macabre visuals alone. He's interested in what happens to people who live too close to death, grief, guilt, and a kind of truth that doesn't free you but suffocates you. Unlike the flashy, almost theatrical energy of Knives Out and the hypermodern, tech-satirical edge of Glass Onion, this entry trades glamour for quiet decay. The direction reflects that change in tone with astonishing control. Johnson lets the story take place in spaces that are visually muted but emotionally loud, abandoned chapels, creaky wooden houses, dense forests that seem to absorb sound. There's a gothic thread running through everything, and Johnson weaves it tighter with every visual decision. Wide shots linger on empty chairs or long-forgotten photographs. The way he frames the spaces says as much as a dialogue. He creates a feeling that these places have memories, and those memories are watching. But what makes his direction truly captivating is how he never lets style overwhelm substance. Every stylistic choice serves a narrative purpose. The use of long takes isn't to show off. It's to create unease, to build up tension until it almost breaks the screen. The lighting doesn't simply evoke a spooky atmosphere. It reflects inner turmoil. Characters are often seen in half shadow, walking through candlelight that flickers like their trust. When they lie, the light dims. When they confront truth, the shadows stretch behind them. This isn't random. It's emotional storytelling through cinematography, and Johnson controls it like a novelist choosing every word. He also paces a story with deliberate irregularity. Sometimes the scenes stretch longer than you expect, forcing the audience to sit in the discomfort. Sometimes they cut off abruptly, making you question what was left unsaid. This uneven pacing mirrors the way trauma and suspicion unfold in real life. Rarely neat, never convenient. Johnson's brilliance lies in using those moments not to confuse, but to deepen emotional investment. He builds anticipation by withholding, not by bombarding. A single glance held for one beat too long says more about a relationship than a 5-minute argument. A delayed flashback or an out-of-sequence reveal makes you reevaluate everything you thought you knew. That's the art of mystery elevated into the art of human psychology. Johnson also knows how to direct the eye without pointing a finger. His blocking, where he positions actors and how they move within a frame, is subtle but loaded. Characters rarely face each other directly in moments of conflict. They're often seated side by side, looking ahead but speaking from the corners of their mouths, avoiding each other like they're avoiding blame. It's a simple trick, but it makes every confrontation more painful and more real. Even when characters lie, they lie in ways that show they're not sure if they believe themselves. That duality is carefully sculpted through performance, but it's enabled by direction. The emotional texture of the film also rests heavily on how Johnson directs sound. He knows when silence is louder than music, and he uses it masterfully. Entire moments pass with nothing but the sound of wind, footsteps, or creaking floorboards. The absence of music in certain scenes isn't an accident. It forces the viewer to focus, to feel the rawness of the moment. And when the score does return, it's often a quiet piano or ambient pulse, more like a breath held under water than a melody. This use of auditory minimalism gives the film a sense of realism, while still amplifying its eerie undercurrent. His command over the film's visual motifs adds another layer of sophistication. Mirrors, reflections, thresholds. Johnson plays with these symbols not just for aesthetic repetition, but to mirror the film's themes of duality, truth versus performance, and the masks people wear. There are scenes where characters confront themselves literally and metaphorically, framed by reflective surfaces or walking through doorways like they're entering different selves. These moments are not overstated. They're quiet, almost subliminal, but they resonate, especially as the film builds toward its climax and identities begin to unravel. Johnson's handling of performances is perhaps one of his most underappreciated strengths. He doesn't just cast talented actors, he uses them. He understands how to pull different colors from the same performer in different contexts. Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc, for instance, is quieter here, more introspective, even mournful. It's a performance calibrated for a story soaked in loss, and Johnson gives him the space to be still, to think, to feel before he speaks. That alone shifts the tone of the entire movie. Supporting actors, many of whom play characters with ambiguous morals, are allowed moments of stillness, vulnerability, and even contradiction. Johnson doesn't demand clarity from them. He demands complexity, and that's a directorial decision that shapes the film's emotional tone. Even the climactic unraveling, the inevitable solve, is treated with restraint. Johnson doesn't build it up like a fireworks finale. He lets it emerge, almost gently, like a confession more than an accusation. The moment isn't about cleverness. It's about cost. He directs it like a moment of quiet horror, not triumph. The revelation doesn't close a wound. It exposes one. And in doing so, Johnson reminds us that the greatest mysteries are not puzzles to be solved, but people to be understood. His signature touch is always that balance between style and sincerity, between genre and subversion, between complexity and clarity. Wake Up Dead Man isn't just a mystery film. It's a meditation on guilt, legacy, and the unspoken stories we live with. And it's Rian Johnson's direction that ensures those ideas aren't just written into the script, but lived into every scene, frame by frame. This is a director who doesn't just tell a story. He builds a world that feels a story and invites the audience to feel it, too. The cinematography in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, is an absolute marvel of visual storytelling, a symphony of images that elevate the film from a mere murder mystery to an immersive emotional experience. From the opening moments, the camera doesn't just observe. It interrogates, reveals, and withholds in equal measure. The cinematographer's work is so intimately tied to the film's themes of secrecy, guilt and fractured identity that becomes a silent narrator, guiding the audience's emotions and perceptions without a single word spoken. It's a masterclass in how light, shadow, framing, and movement can weave a story just as powerfully as dialogue or plot. The film's visual style is drenched in atmosphere. Every frame feels deliberately composed, like a painting hung in a dimly lit gallery, inviting close inspection. Wide shots are used extensively, but never frivolously. When the camera pulls back to show characters standing small against the looming architecture of a crumbling church or the skeletal branches of an ancient forest, it's doing more than setting the scene. It's expressing isolation, vulnerability, and the weight of unseen histories pressing down on the characters. These wide frames evoke a feeling of loneliness, not just physical, but existential. The characters seem lost in these vast spaces, as if the world around them is indifferent to their pain and secrets. Lighting is one of the film's most compelling tools, and it's employed with exquisite subtlety. The cinematographer embraces chiaroscuro, the dramatic interplay of light and dark, to stunning effect. Faces are often half illuminated, half swallowed by shadows, making every expression ambiguous and layered. This visual duality mirrors the film's exploration of truth and deception, what's revealed versus what's hidden. The flicker of candlelight bathes scenes in a warm but unstable glow, as if the light itself is hesitant to expose the character's deepest secrets. In contrast, colder, desaturated daylight scenes carry a haunting melancholy, a softness that suggests decay rather than vitality. The lighting doesn't merely illuminate the story. It breathes life into its emotional core. One of the film's standout sequences features a nocturnal confrontation outside a time-worn chapel. The camera's slow, deliberate orbit around the characters captures attention as shadows dance on their faces, barely hiding the fear and suspicion simmering beneath the surface. The lantern's trembling flame becomes a metaphor for their fragile facades, constantly threatened by the encroaching darkness. The framing here is tight but fluid, allowing the actor's subtle shifts in expression to dominate, making dialogue almost secondary. It's a moment where cinematography tells more of the story than words ever could. Camera angles are chosen with psychological precision throughout the film. High-angle shots, sparingly used, render characters vulnerable, trapped beneath an indifferent sky or towering walls. Conversely, low-angle shots give some characters a false sense of power or menace, only to be undercut by the narrative's revelations. This ironic use of perspective keeps the audience questioning not just who holds the power, but what kind of power it really is. Close-ups punctuate the film's emotional beats, but they're never gratuitous. When the camera zooms in, it's to capture the flicker of guilt, the micro-expression of fear, or the split-second hesitation before a lie. These moments of intense scrutiny pull viewers into the character's internal struggles, making the mystery as much about human frailty as it is about whodunit. Framing techniques add another rich layer of meaning. Characters are often deliberately positioned off-center, creating visual imbalance that translates to narrative unease. The frequent use of mirrors and reflective surfaces serves as a constant reminder of duality and deception. Shots catching a character's reflection in a cracked mirror or behind frosted glass suggest fractured identities and the impossibility of seeing the whole truth. These visual motifs aren't just decorative. They echo the story's core themes and invite viewers to look closer, question appearances, and piece together fractured realities. Movement within the frame is equally deliberate. The camera flows gracefully during tracking shots that follow characters through shadowy corridors or fog-laden woods, drawing viewers deeper into the story's emotional terrain. In contrast, many scenes are held in stillness, letting silence and space build tension. This ebb and flow between motion and stasis mirrors the narrative's pacing, sometimes slow and reflective, sometimes taut with imminent revelation. The restraint in camera movement forces the audience to engage actively, feeling the weight of unsaid things and the pressure of impending truth. Color grading underpins the film's mood with a palette that's subdued but evocative. Muted earth tones, cool blues, and somber grays dominate, bathing the film in a sense of decay and memory. Occasional warmer hues, like the flicker of firelight or the weathered gold of aged wood, don't comfort. They underscore fragility and the fleeting nature of hope. This restrained color scheme grounds the film's emotional intensity, making every bright moment feel charged and every shadow heavy. When it comes to moments of revelation or emotional climax, The cinematography opts for subtlety over spectacle. Instead of grand, sweeping shots or dramatic lighting changes, the camera inches closer, the light softens, and the frame tightens just enough to encapsulate the character's emotional imprisonment. This careful restraint makes these key moments feel intimate and authentic rather than theatrical or forced, allowing the audience to breathe alongside the characters and absorb the full weight of the confessions and realizations. The film also uses negative space with poetic effect. At times, characters are engulfed by vast, empty spaces that visually communicate loneliness and alienation. Other times, the frame is tight and cluttered, making the characters appear boxed in by their secrets and lies. This play of open versus confined space creates a tactile tension, as if the physical environment is a metaphor for the character's psychological states. Sound and visual elements intertwine seamlessly. Scenes often flow from darkness into light or from silence into quiet ambient noise, reinforcing the emotional tone and pacing established through the cinematography. The camera's lingering gaze in these transitions enhances the film's dreamlike quality, making time feel fluid and memories mutable. It's an experience designed to pull viewers beneath the surface and keep them there, navigating the shifting shadows of truth and deception. Ultimately, the cinematography in Wake Up Dead Man does much more than capture the story. It tells a story. Through its precise compositions, thoughtful lighting, and evocative use of space, the camera becomes a silent character in the narrative, revealing what words often cannot. It invites the audience to not just watch, but to see, to look beyond the obvious and engage with the hidden emotional currents that drive every secret and every lie. This is visual storytelling at its most immersive and artful, a perfect marriage of technical craft and poetic intuition that makes the mystery feel alive, breathing, and achingly human. The editing in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, is nothing short of a finely tuned heartbeat that keeps the entire film alive and pulsating with tension, emotion, and intrigue. It's a deeply intentional rhythm that ebbs and flows with the story's needs, never settling into monotony, but always perfectly matched the narrative's twists, turns, and emotional undertows. The editors here don't simply piece scenes together. They sculpt the very perception of time, breathing life into the mystery and controlling the audience's experience with remarkable precision. Their work turns the film into a living, breathing organism, where every cut, transition, and pause serves a purpose. From the very beginning, the editing resists the impulse to rush. Instead of bombarding the viewer with exposition or rapid-fire clues, the film unfolds at a deliberate pace that allows you to fully inhabit the story's world. The scenes linger just long enough to let the weight of the character's secrets settle in. Silences are stretched thoughtfully, creating a palpable atmosphere thick with unspoken tension. These pauses are gold mines of suspense. They force the viewer to become acutely aware of every glance, every twitch, every barely concealed emotion that flickers across an actor's face. It's in these moments between the cuts that the film's deepest mysteries take root. Transitions between scenes are handled with a refined subtlety that makes the narrative feel like one seamless thread rather than a series of disconnected episodes. The editors often employ overlapping sound bridges, a character's whispered word from one scene bleeding into the ambient noise of the next, or visual motifs that echo across cuts, such as the flickering of a candle flame or the rustling of leaves. These techniques act like invisible stitches, binding the story's disparate parts into a cohesive whole. This seamless flow keeps the audience engaged and emotionally connected, even as the plot veers into complex territory. The film's manipulation of time through editing is particularly impressive. Flashbacks and alternative perspectives are woven in so organically that they feel less like disruptions and more like layers of memory and emotion folding over the present. These narrative detours are introduced with smooth match cuts or gentle dissolves, using changes in color grading or lighting to subtly signal the shift without jolting the viewer. The effect is immersive, inviting the audience to sift through fragmented recollections alongside the characters, piecing together truths that are as much about perception as they are about fact. It's a clever editorial strategy that adds complexity without confusion, deepening the mystery in a way that feels natural and intuitive. When tension rises, the editing tempo smartly adapts. Scenes that unveil key clues or emotional confrontations tighten with faster cuts that quicken the film's pulse. Yet, even during these moments of heightened urgency, the editing never sacrifices clarity for speed. Each cut is purposeful, ensuring the audience stays grounded in the emotional stakes and understands the significance of every revelation. This balance between momentum and comprehension is key to maintaining suspense without overwhelming the viewer. One of the film's editorial triumphs lies in its dynamic contrasts of pacing. The narrative swells and recedes like ocean waves. Some sequences unfold languidly, allowing the audience to soak in emotional subtext and relational complexities, while others snap sharply to attention, jolting viewers with sudden bursts of information or conflict. This rhythmic variation mirrors the real-life experience of suspense, where moments of calm can be just as fraught as moments of crisis. The editors expertly harness this pattern, guiding the audience through an emotional roller coaster that feels authentic and immersive rather than predictable or exhausting. Quieter, more intimate scenes also benefit immensely from the editing's thoughtful pacing. By lingering on subtle shifts in expression or pulling back to reveal a character's isolation within the frame, the editors add layers of meaning without a word being spoken. These editorial choices invite the audience into a more active role, encouraging close observation and emotional attunement. Watching a character's brief flicker of guilt or averted gaze becomes a key piece of the puzzle, making the film's psychological depth as engaging as its narrative twists. The climactic sequences showcase some of the editing's most confident and artful work. Rather than building to a flashy, explosive montage, the film opts for a measured intercutting of reactions, flashbacks, and confessions that gradually accumulate emotional power. The rhythm here is like a slow crescendo, allowing each revelation to land with full weight and resonate deeply. This approach honors both the story's complexity and the audience's desire for payoff, creating a finale that feels earned and emotionally satisfying without resorting to melodrama. Even when the pacing dips into moments of near meditative calm, these editorial decisions serve the story by preventing fatigue and offering the audience a chance to breathe before the next wave of tension. These pauses also deepen the film's emotional realism, reflecting the way real trauma and suspicion unfold over time, not in a straight line, but in fits, starts, and uneasy lulls. The editor's willingness to embrace these slower moments speaks to their confidence in the material and respect for the audience's patience and intelligence. Sound design and editing work hand in hand to enhance the film's rhythmic flow. Transitions often occur through overlapping ambient sounds or the subtle continuation of musical motifs, creating an almost hypnotic experience that blurs the boundaries between scenes. This technique deepens immersion and heightens suspense, as the audience is carried effortlessly from one emotional beat to the next without jarring breaks. Ultimately, the editing and pacing in Wake Up Dead Man are the invisible hands guiding the audience through a labyrinth of secrets, lies, and half-truths. Every cut, every pause, every transition is carefully calibrated to maximize suspense, deepen character, and enrich the film's emotional resonance. It's editing that doesn't just support the story. It shapes it, molds it, and breathes life into it, transforming a murder mystery into a living, breathing psychological experience that invites viewers to not only solve the puzzle, but to feel it unfolding moment by moment. The soundtrack and score of Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery operator, has a subtle yet profoundly effective character within the film, quietly weaving an emotional thread that ties together the visual storytelling, performances, and narrative tension. The composer takes a delicate and nuanced approach, eschewing bombast in favor of minimalism and texture that enhance the story's brooding atmosphere and psychological depth. Rather than blaring over scenes or dictating emotional responses, the music gently insinuates itself into the fabric of the film, acting as an invisible emotional guide that steers the audience through layers of suspense, grief, and revelation. Right from the opening moments, the score sets a tone of restrained melancholy. Instead of dramatic themes or sweeping orchestral flourishes, the composer opts for sparse instrumentation, a lone piano, faint strings, and understated ambient drones that evokes a sense of quiet unease. These musical choices echo the film's visual style, muted, somber, and charged in almost tangible tension. The soundtrack feels less like an addition and more like a natural extension of the world on screen, breathing life into every shadow and empty hallway. The slow, deliberate pacing of the music matches the film's rhythm, allowing the score to seep into the audience's subconscious and pull them deeper into the story's emotional undercurrents. One of the standout aspects of the score is its use of recurring musical motifs. Small, often fragile phrases that return throughout the film, each time carrying new layers of meaning. A delicate, wistful piano melody may appear during moments of vulnerability, grief, or introspection, acting almost like a musical fingerprint for the character's inner emotional states. This motif isn't overly obvious. It's subtle enough to go unnoticed by casual viewers, but for attentive ears, it becomes a haunting thread that ties scenes and characters together. In contrast, darker, more ominous tonal elements rise during scenes rife with suspicion or menace. Low, brooding drones, dissonant strings, or eerie harmonics that ratchet up the tension and evoke a sense of creeping dread. These motifs are carefully balanced, allowing the score to shift seamlessly between moments of tenderness and unease without ever feeling jarring or out of place. The soundtrack's masterful use of silence is equally crucial. There are moments in the film where the music fades entirely away, leaving only diegetic sounds like footsteps, creaking wood, or the subtle rustle of clothing. These silences aren't just absences of music. They're charged spaces that heighten the viewer's awareness and amplify the emotional stakes. In these quiet interludes, the audience becomes attuned to the smallest details, a glance, a sigh, a breath held a moment too long, and the tension thickens palpably. When the music does re-enter, it often does so gently with a soft swell or a creeping melodic line that feels like a slow exhale, subtly nudging the emotional tone without overwhelming it. This ebb and flow between music and silence is one of the film's most compelling sonic features, creating a rhythm that complements the narrative's pacing and emotional arcs. Instrumentation throughout the score is carefully chosen to add texture and emotional nuance. Sparse piano notes float like fragile memories, while string instruments, violins, cellos, and occasionally violas, add warmth or tension depending on the scene. The strings are sometimes played with delicate bowing techniques or muted to produce a whisper-like effect, reinforcing the film's themes of secrecy and hidden pain. There are moments where more unusual sounds enter the mix. Soft percussion, subtle electronic pulses, or the scraping of a bow on a cello string that add layers of unpredictability and intrigue. These textural elements create a sonic palette that feels both timeless and contemporary, mirroring the film's blend of classic mystery storytelling and modern psychological complexity. Importantly, the score never tries to overshadow the performances or dialogue. Instead, it acts as a supportive presence, enhancing without distracting. This restraint allows the actors' nuanced portrayals to breathe, letting their subtle expressions and vocal inflections take center stage. The music serves as a kind of emotional punctuation, emphasizing key moments without dictating how the audience should feel. This approach demands trust in the viewer's ability to engage with the story on a deeper level, making the experience more immersive and rewarding. During pivotal scenes, moments of confession, confrontation, or revelation, the score swells just enough to give emotional weight without tipping into melodrama. These passages often feature layered strings rising gently beneath the dialogue or slow, mournful piano line that underscores the gravity of the moment. The effect is one of quiet intensity, as if the music is acknowledging the pain and truth laid bare without needing to shout it. This subtlety allows the emotional beats to resonate longer, lingering in the mind well after the scene has passed. The soundtrack also cleverly mirrors the film's visual and thematic motifs. For example, just as mirrors and reflections play a symbolic role on screen, the music often features echoing or repeating phrases, sonic reflections that suggest fractured identities, hidden truths, and elusive nature of memory. These musical echoes deepen the film's thematic texture, making the score an integral part of its storytelling fabric rather than a mere accompaniment. The interplay of music and silence, melody and dissonance, restraint and intensity creates a dynamic listening experience that elevates the film's haunting mood. The soundtrack invites the audience into a world where every note matters, where music is a language of emotion as complex and nuanced as the characters themselves. It transforms the film's atmosphere into something almost tactile, a living soundscape that envelopes viewers and pulls them into the mystery's dark heart. In the end, the score of Wake Up Dead Man is a quiet marvel of composition and placement, a subtle but powerful force that shapes the film's emotional resonance and atmosphere. Through minimalist instrumentation, recurring motifs, expertly timed silences, and sensitive dynamic shifts, the music not only supports but enriches the narrative, creating an immersive sonic experience that lingers long after credits roll. It's a soundtrack that doesn't just accompany the story. It becomes part of it, a haunting voice whispering secrets alongside the characters and inviting the audience to listen closely to what lies beneath the surface. Wake Up Dead Man. A Knives Out mystery is much more than a gripping puzzle or a stylish detective story. It's a rich, multi-layered exploration of human nature, morality, and the complexities that lurk beneath everyday life. The film doesn't just hand you a mystery to solve. It invites you to ponder deeper ideas and themes that ripple through the narrative like subtle currents, influencing every character's motivation, every twist in the plot, and the emotional resonance of the story. These themes are carefully woven into the fabric of the film, never feeling forced or preachy, but instead emerging naturally from the characters and situations, making the mystery all the more compelling and thought-provoking. One of the central themes the film tackles is the nature of truth itself. Wake Up Dead Man doesn't present truth as a simple, objective fact waiting to be uncovered. Instead, it treats truth as something complex, layered, and sometimes elusive. Throughout the film, characters wrestle with their own versions of the truth, shaped by memory, perspective, fear, and desire. The narrative plays with unreliable narrators, shifting perspectives and fragmented storytelling techniques to emphasize that truth is not always clear-cut or absolute. This invites the audience to become detectives not only of the crime, but also of the characters' motivations and self-deceptions. It challenges viewers to question what they see and hear, and understand that every truth has shadows where contradictions and secrets hide. Closely tied to this is the film's exploration of deception, both of others and self-deception. The characters are often caught in webs of lies, half-truths, and omissions, not just to protect themselves, but sometimes to protect others. The film explores how deception is woven into the fabric of human relationships and how it can be a double-edged sword, capable of both harm and preservation. This thematic strand adds a fascinating moral ambiguity to the story. It makes you wonder, is it always wrong to lie? Can deception sometimes be an act of love or survival? The narrative encourages us to embrace complexity rather than seeking simple moral judgments. Family dynamics form another deeply resonant theme. The film portrays family not as an idyllic refuge, but as a complicated network of love, loyalty, betrayal, and unresolved pain. It delves into how familial bonds shape identity, choices, and the burden of legacy. The characters often grapple with expectations placed upon them by parents or siblings, with resentment simmering beneath the surface alongside affection. The story shows how secrets passed down through generations can haunt and distort family relationships, making trust fragile and conflict inevitable. This portrayal feels authentic and emotionally raw, allowing the film to explore the messy, imperfect reality of families rather than reducing them to stereotypes. Guilt and the search for redemption are powerful emotional currents throughout the film. Many characters carry burdens of past mistakes, regrets, or moral compromises, and the story examines how these feelings influence their present actions. The film avoids neat resolutions, instead portraying guilt as something complex, both a source of pain and a potential catalyst for growth. Redemption, too, is presented as a difficult and ongoing process rather than a one-time event. This nuanced treatment invites viewers to reflect on the human capacity for forgiveness, change, and self-acceptance, making the emotional stakes of the mystery feel deeply personal and relatable. The theme of identity is woven tightly into the narrative fabric as well. The film probes how individuals construct versions of themselves to cope with trauma, social expectations, or personal insecurities. Mirrors, reflections, and visual symbolism reinforce this theme, highlighting the fragmented and sometimes contradictory nature of identity. Characters face the challenge of reconciling their public personas with hidden truths and desires, raising questions about authenticity and self-knowledge. This exploration adds psychological depth to the film, turning it into a meditation on how people navigate the masks they wear and the selves they long to understand or escape. Social commentary threads subtly through the story without ever overwhelming it. The film touches on themes of power, privilege, and justice, highlighting how these forces shape personal and societal dynamics. It suggests that justice is often elusive and unevenly applied, influenced by social status, wealth, and hidden agendas. These ideas are not presented as overt political statements, but as part of the characters' lived realities, enriching the narrative's texture and complexity. This undercurrent invites audiences to consider broader questions about fairness and inequality, alongside the personal drama unfolding on screen. What makes these themes especially effective is how naturally they're integrated into the story, rather than hitting the audience over the head with explicit messages. The film allows themes to emerge through character interactions, subtext, visual motifs, and plot developments. The narrative trusts viewers to pick up on nuances and engage intellectually and emotionally. This subtlety enhances the film's rewatch value, as each viewing can reveal new layers of meaning and thematic resonance. Humor and irony provide a vital counterbalance to the film's weightier themes, adding charm and accessibility without undercutting the seriousness of the story. Sharp wit and darkly comic moments reveal character quirks and human foibles, reminding us that life, even amid secrets, betrayal, and sorrow, is often absurd and unpredictable. This tonal balance keeps the film engaging and relatable, ensuring it never becomes overly grim or didactic. Ultimately, Wake Up Dead Man uses the conventions of the murder mystery genre as a framework to explore rich, thought-provoking ideas about human nature, relationships, and morality. It challenges viewers to look beyond surface appearances, to question the nature of truth, confront the complexities of family and identity, and grapple with the messy realities of guilt and forgiveness. The film's layered themes make it not only a compelling puzzle, but also an emotionally and intellectually rewarding experience that lingers long after the mystery is solved, inviting deeper reflection and conversation. In Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, the visual effects and CGI are a masterclass in subtlety and precision, working quietly behind the scenes to enhance the film's immersive atmosphere without ever calling attention to themselves. Unlike many contemporary thrillers that bombard audiences with digital spectacle, this film takes a restrained and deliberate approach, blending practical and digital effects so seamlessly that viewers are drawn deeper into the story's mysterious world rather than distracted by flashy visuals. The effects act like invisible threads, weaving texture and mood into every frame, supporting the narrative in ways that feel natural and organic. The filmmakers made a conscious choice to prioritize practical effects whenever possible, grounding the story in a tangible reality that feels lived in and authentic. This decision pays off handsomely. The creaking of an old door, the flicker of candlelight casting shadows on worn wallpaper, the subtle physical details on props and costumes all contribute to a richly textured environment. These physical elements provide a sensory anchor for the viewer, making the film's shadowy, suspenseful world feel believable and immersive. Practical effects also lend warmth and weight to character moments, enhancing emotional engagement because everything feels like it's really there, not just digitally imposed. When the film does employ CGI, it does so sparingly and with great care. Digital effects are mostly reserved for augmenting environments or creating atmospheric touches that will be difficult to achieve practically, such as rolling fog that snakes through a dark forest, the distant glow of city lights twinkling through a window at night, or the subtle shimmer of rain on pavement. These elements are carefully integrated into the cinematography, enhancing mood and tone without ever jarring the viewer or drawing attention to themselves as effects. This approach reinforces the film's grounded aesthetic, making the digital enhancements feel like invisible helpers rather than overt spectacles. One of the most impressive uses of visual effects is in scenes that play with the film's themes of memory, perception, and fractured truth. The editors and effects team employ gentle distortions, slight blurring, shifting focus, faint double images, or overlaying ghostly reflections to signal shifts in time or point of view. These effects are restrained but deeply effective, inviting the audience into the characters' inner experiences and unreliable recollections. They add an eerie, dreamlike quality to the narrative without ever becoming gimmicky or distracting. Instead, these subtle touches deepen the psychological tension, echoing the story's core questions about what is real and what is hidden beneath the surface. Character moments benefit equally from this thoughtful blend of practical and digital effects. Makeup, prosthetics, and physical sets provide the foundation for a grounded and tactile world. When digital effects are applied to characters, such as enhancing shadows on a face, smoothing or emphasizing facial expressions, or adjusting lighting nuances, they are nearly imperceptible, preserving the actor's performances as the emotional heart of each scene. This respect for performance is vital in a film so reliant on subtle clues, body language, and psychological interplay. Lighting and mood receive particular attention through digital enhancements. The film uses CGI to augment natural lighting effects. Soft glows emanating from lamps, nuanced gradations of shadow, or the delicate shimmer of rain-drenched streets at night. creating an atmospheric depth that feels painterly yet realistic. These digital flourishes elevate the cinematography, turning every frame into a richly textured tableau that invites prolonged viewing and emotional immersion. A standout feature of the visual effects is their ability to play with perception and expectation, crucial in a film centered on mystery and uncertainty. Fleeting reflections in windows, half-seen figures lurking just out of focus, shifting shadows that seem to move on their own. All these elements foster an unsettling atmosphere that keeps the audience on edge. Because the effects are so tastefully executed, they enhance the psychological suspense without pulling viewers out of the story. Instead, they subtly prime the mind to question everything seen on screen, reinforcing the film's themes of deception and elusive truth. Comparing Wake Up Dead Man to blockbuster thrillers heavy with CGI spectacle highlights its unique approach. Here, less truly is more. The visual effects serve as a quiet but vital supporting player, never overwhelming the narrative or competing with the actor's work. This disciplined use of effects ensures the story remains front and center, while the visual enhancements enrich the film's mood and thematic complexity. The careful interplay between practical effects and CGI also demonstrates the filmmaker's respect for craft and storytelling tradition, showing that modern technology can be harnessed without sacrificing authenticity or emotional resonance. The balance between tangible, handcrafted details and seamless digital augmentation creates a cinematic world that feels both grounded and subtly otherworldly, a perfect setting for a story about hidden truths and fractured memories. In scenes where the tension reaches a boiling point, the visual effects quietly amplify the mood, perhaps by deepening shadows that close in around characters, or by adding a barely perceptible haze that blurs the boundary between reality and imagination. These touches elevate suspense organically, making the film's twists and turns feel all the more immersive and impactful. Ultimately, the visual effects in CGI in Wake Up Dead Man exemplify how technology can serve storytelling when wielded with restraint and artistic intention. They add layers of atmosphere, texture, and psychological complexity that draw viewers into the film's shadowy world without ever distracting from its emotional core. The combination of tactile practical effects and subtle digital enhancements create a rich, believable environment where mystery and mood intertwine, making the viewing experience both captivating and hauntingly memorable. The set design and locations in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, are an absolute triumph of immersive world building, proving that the spaces characters inhabit are just as vital to storytelling as the characters themselves. From the very first scene, the audience is enveloped in a richly detailed environment that pulses with atmosphere, history, and emotional undercurrents. The filmmakers have crafted every inch of these settings, from grand rooms to tiny nooks, with painstaking care, turning what might have been mere backgrounds into active players in the narrative, full of visual clues and symbolic weight. Starting with the interiors, the film's primary locations, such as the sprawling family estates and the more intimate living spaces, are drenched in a sense of layered history. The houses themselves feel like characters, their worn wooden floors, faded wallpaper, and vintage furnishings telling stories of generations long gone but never forgotten. There's an evocative patina to these spaces, cracks in the walls, scuffs on the furniture, time-worn portraits that suggest a slow decay beneath a polished surface, mirroring the film's themes of hidden secrets and fractured relationships. The production design team clearly understood that these subtle textures and imperfections lend authenticity and richness, making every room feel lived in and heavy with unspoken tension. Walking through these spaces, viewers can't help but feel the weight of the past pressing in. Every piece of furniture, every framed photograph, every knick-knack scattered on a mantelpiece serves as a narrative breadcrumb or a symbol waiting to be unpacked. For instance, antique clocks ticking steadily in the background aren't just set dressing. They underscore the film's preoccupation with time, memory, and the inevitability of confronting one's past. Bookshelves crammed with dusty tomes hint at family legacies and intellectual pursuits, while faded letters or personal artifacts tucked away in drawers suggest layers of undisclosed stories. This deliberate attention to detail invites the audience to become detectives themselves, piecing together clues from the environment as eagerly as from the dialogue. Moving outside, the locations are no less evocative or integral. The filmmakers chose atmospheric exteriors that complement and enhance the story's tone: mist-shrouded gardens, Winding forest paths and quiet, shadowed streets all contribute to the film's haunting mood. These outdoor spaces are more than just pretty settings. They're emotional landscapes where pivotal confrontations, introspections, and revelations take place. The interplay of natural elements, fog rolling through trees, moonlight filtering through branches, or rain slicking down cobblestones, create a visual poetry that mirrors the internal turmoil of the characters. The way the environments shift from confined interiors to expansive yet isolating exteriors underscores themes of entrapment and freedom, secrecy, and exposure. The use of props within these settings further enriches the storytelling. Everyday items are elevated beyond their functional roles to become symbols and emotional touchstones. A weathered photograph evokes nostalgia and loss. A cracked mirror reflects fractured identities. A half-burned candle symbolizes fleeting hope or unresolved tension. The way characters interact with these objects, pausing to touch, examine, or avoid them, adds layers of nonverbal storytelling, deepening characterizations and thematic resonance without a single line of dialogue. These details create an immersive sensory experience, making the film's world feel tangible and emotionally charged. Production design also cleverly manipulates space to reflect the psychological states and relationships of the characters. Rooms are often composed to feel claustrophobic, with heavy drapery, dark wood paneling, and cluttered furnishings that create a sense of confinement and pressure. These spaces visually express the emotional suffocation or tension experienced by the characters. In contrast, more open or brightly lit areas are reserved for moments of revelation, confrontation, or emotional release, providing visual breathing room that accentuates narrative turning points. This spatial choreography works almost subliminally, guiding the audience's emotional journey and heightening the impact of key scenes. Color palettes throughout the sets play a vital role in mood setting and thematic expression. The dominance of muted earth tones, dusty browns, faded greens, soft grays, imbues the film with a somber, introspective atmosphere. These colors evoke a sense of history and decay, underscoring themes of loss, memory, and the passage of time. Strategic uses of deeper hues, like blood reds or stark whites, punctuate the visuals, drawing attention during moments of heightened emotion, danger, or revelation. These color choices enrich the visual storytelling, subtly influencing the audience's mood and expectations. Lighting design is another powerful tool working hand in hand with set and location choices to create a dynamic visual texture. Pools of warm, amber lamplight contrast with the cold, blue moonlight streaming through windows, crafting a chiaroscuro effect that highlights the film's thematic preoccupation with light and shadow, both literally and metaphorically. Flickering candlelight and shifting shadows dance across walls, enhancing suspense and imbuing scenes with an almost painterly quality. This masterful use of lighting amplifies the emotional tone and visual interest of every scene, reinforcing the story's dualities of truth and deception, clarity and obscurity. Every small detail in the sets, whether it's the way fabric drapes over a chair, the subtle wear on a door frame, or the carefully arranged clutter on a desk, reflects a commitment to authenticity and narrative depth. These choices invite viewers to fully inhabit the film's world, fostering a sense of intimacy and connection that heightens the suspense and emotional impact. The physical spaces also act as a mirror to the film's exploration of isolation, connection, and the complexity of human relationships. Characters are often framed in ways that emphasize solitude or entrapment, standing alone in a dim corner, surrounded by towering bookshelves, or trapped behind bar windows, while shared spaces become charged arenas of conflict or fragile reconciliation. This spatial storytelling deepens the audience's understanding of character psychology and interpersonal dynamics without explicit exposition. In essence, the set design and locations in Wake Up Dead Man transcend the role of mere background, becoming a vital storytelling device that enriches every aspect of the film. The layered textures, evocative colors, thoughtful props, and atmospheric lighting come together to craft a visually compelling and emotionally resonant world. This world doesn't just host a mystery. It breathes with it, echoing its secrets and tensions, inviting viewers to lose themselves in its richly detailed, haunting embrace. The dialogue and script in Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, represent a masterclass in screenwriting that expertly balances sharp wit, emotional depth, and clever storytelling, creating an experience that captivates audiences long after credits roll. What immediately stands out is the way the dialogue flows so naturally, avoiding any hint of stiffness or artificiality. Characters don't just exchange information. They reveal their personalities, ambitions, fears, and secrets through the rhythm, tone, and choice of words. The script has an uncanny ability to sound like real people talking, with all the pauses, interruptions, and subtle shifts in mood that real conversations have, while simultaneously delivering narrative and thematic weight. One of the most thrilling aspects of the writing is its impeccable sense of timing and tone. The film dances gracefully between moments of levity and tension, ensuring the dialogue is never monotonous. The witty banter and clever repartee provide a constant undercurrent of energy, often serving as a buffer against the darker emotional themes. The lead detective, in particular, shines with dry humor and sly remarks that lighten intense scenes without diminishing their stakes. These moments of humor feel earned, arising naturally from character interactions rather than shoehorned in, which makes them all the more enjoyable. Supporting characters also have their moments to shine, with unique quirks and styles of speech that inject personality and color into every scene. But the script is far from just being clever or funny. It's deeply emotional and resonant. Beneath the surface of the mystery, the dialogue brims with subtext and vulnerability. Characters reveal their regrets, secrets, and inner turmoil through nuanced exchanges that sometimes say more in what's left unsaid than in the spoken words. The writing allows space for silence, awkward pauses, and subtle gestures that communicate volumes, giving the story a sense of emotional realism. These moments add layers of complexity to the narrative, transforming the film from a straightforward whodunit into a thoughtful exploration of guilt, redemption, and human frailty. The pacing of the dialogue is another standout feature. Scenes unfold with a rhythm that feels organic, never rushed or dragging. The script expertly weaves fast-paced, sharp exchanges with slower, more reflective conversations, creating a dynamic tempo that mirrors the unfolding mystery. This ebb and flow keeps viewers engaged, allowing suspense to build naturally and emotional beats to land with full impact. The transitions between different tones and speeds feel seamless, contributing to an overall storytelling experience that is fluid and compelling. One of the signature strengths of Wake Up Dead Man's script is its treasure trove of memorable lines and exchanges. These aren't just throwaway quips or cliches. Many lines pack a punch of irony, insight, or emotional truth that lingers in the mind. Some remarks become almost iconic within the film's universe. Phrases that perfectly encapsulate a character's worldview or that crystallize the film's central themes with poetic economy. Whether it's a dry one-liner that elicits a chuckle or a haunting confession that stays with you, these moments are crafted with precision and artistry. They contribute to the film's replay value, as audiences find themselves quoting and reflecting on these lines well beyond the theater. Another aspect that elevates the script is its mastery in differentiating the voices of its diverse cast. Every character sounds distinct, with speech patterns, vocabulary, and emotional registers that reflect their backgrounds, personalities, and current states of mind. The sardonic detective's clipped, precise language contrasts beautifully with the evasive family member's more circuitous or defensive phrasing. This attention to vocal individuality not only enhances believability, but enriches character dynamics, making conversations feel like organic clashes or collaborations rather than scripted exchanges. The script captures nuances such as hesitation, sarcasm, evasion, warmth, or menace, which deepen the storytelling and character development. What's impressive is how well the dialogue serves the central mystery without ever becoming tedious or overly expositional. Clues and red herrings are cleverly interspersed within conversations, encouraging viewers to pay close attention and engage actively in solving the puzzle. The writing respects the audience's intelligence by providing enough subtlety and complexity to challenge and satisfy fans of intricate narratives. But it does so without descending into confusion or overcomplication. This balance is no small feat, allowing the mystery to unfold in a way that feels both surprising and inevitable. Silence and subtext are wielded with remarkable skill throughout the script. Many of the film's most intense moments hinge on what's left unsaid. The pregnant pauses, the fleeting glances, the tension that simmers beneath polite words. These silences transform ordinary conversations into psychological battlegrounds or intimate revelations, making the dialogue pulse with hidden meaning. It's in these quiet moments that character relationships deepen, Conflicts ignite, and secrets teeter on the edge of exposure, beyond the spoken lines. The script also excels in structuring scenes, so that dialogue interacts dynamically with action and visual storytelling. Conversations are often layered with multiple purposes, advancing the plot, revealing character, setting tone, and building thematic resonance simultaneously. This layered writing ensures that every line counts and contributes meaningfully to the film's overall impact. It also keeps the narrative lean and engaging, avoiding unnecessary tangents or filler. The emotional arc of the dialogue is thoughtfully crafted as well. As the film progresses, conversations shift from guarded and tense to more revealing and vulnerable, mirroring the characters' journeys and the unraveling of the mystery. The script allows characters to grow in complexity and depth through their interactions, using dialogue as a tool for transformation as well as exposition. In addition, the script's language often carries a lyrical quality that elevates the film beyond conventional mystery fare. Metaphors, carefully chosen imagery, and poignant phrasing add poetic flourishes that enrich the narrative texture. These elements invite viewers to not only follow the plot, but to savor the language and emotions it evokes. Ultimately, the dialogue and script of Wake Up Dead Man demonstrate how exceptional writing can shape every facet of film, from pacing and tone to character and theme, creating a vibrant, immersive experience. The script's blend of wit, emotional resonance, memorable lines, and narrative intelligence makes it a cornerstone of the film's success. It draws audiences in, keeps them guessing, and connects them deeply to the characters and story, proving that words remain one of the most powerful tools in cinematic storytelling. Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery, dives deep into the rich traditions of the murder mystery and detective thriller genres. Yet it does so with a flair that breathes new life into familiar territory. Right from the outset, the film establishes its genre credentials by presenting a classic setup: a baffling death, a tangled web of suspects, and a sharp-minded detective tasked with unraveling the truth. But while it nods respectfully to the staples of whodunit storytelling, it refuses to be pigeonholed or predictable. Instead, it expertly mixes homage with innovation, blending convention and creativity in a way that keeps the audience guessing and deeply engaged. One of the film's greatest strengths in genre execution is how it balances the familiar with the unexpected. The structure and narrative rhythm lean on tried-and-true tropes: the gathering of suspects in a confined space, the meticulous gathering of clues, and the big reveal, but these moments are fresh with inventive storytelling twists and a strong character focus. The plot doesn't just tick boxes. It reinvents them by complicating character motives, introducing unexpected alliances, and playing with narrative perspective. This means viewers aren't just passively following clues, but actively questioning everything, as the film plants subtle hints and red herrings that challenge assumptions. Suspense in Wake Up Dead Man is carefully calibrated to avoid the pitfalls of cheap thrills or relentless action. Instead of bombarding the audience with constant high-octane sequences or overt shocks, the tension is woven into the psychology of the characters and the slow peeling back of secrets. The film trusts its viewers to appreciate a more cerebral form of suspense, one that arises from the interplay of relationships, shifting power dynamics, and the gradual revelation of buried truths. This approach lends a film a mature, sophisticated air that elevates it above many genre peers and makes the mystery more satisfying to unravel. Humor is threaded throughout the film in a way that feels natural and character-driven rather than tacked on. The script sparkles with moments of dry wit, sly irony, and playful banter that punctuate tense scenes with levity and charm. These humorous touches help humanize the characters, making them more relatable and multidimensional. The lead detective's sharp quips and sarcastic remarks often serve as a breathing space amidst the tension, while secondary characters contribute their own comedic flourishes through awkward interactions or unexpected responses. This deft balancing act between suspense and humor keeps the tone lively and prevents the film from feeling weighed down or overly serious. Drama in the film is deeply rooted in character rather than spectacle. Conflict arises from complex, believable motivations rather than contrived plot devices, making emotional stakes feel authentic and impactful. The characters' personal histories, grudges, and vulnerabilities inform their actions and dialogue, weaving the mystery into a richer tapestry of human experience. This grounding in emotional realism adds layers of resonance, as the audience becomes invested not only in whodunit, but also in why it happened and how it affects those involved. What sets Wake Up Dead Man apart in its genre execution is its willingness to subvert expectations and play with conventions. The film takes familiar archetypes, like the all-knowing detective, the suspicious family members, the red herrings, and flips or complicates them. The detective is not a flawless genius, but a flawed, sometimes conflicted individual whose own doubts and limitations add nuance to the investigation. The suspects aren't just one-dimensional villains or innocent victims, but fully realized characters with shades of gray, conflicting loyalties, and ambiguous truths. This complexity challenges viewers to rethink stereotypes and engage with the story on a more sophisticated level. The film's pacing respects the genre's demands for suspense and revelation, but avoids a rigid formula. Instead of rushing from one plot point to another, it allows moments of quiet introspection and character development to breathe. This slower, more deliberate tempo enriches a narrative texture, making plot twists feel earned rather than contrived. Action sequences, when they do occur, are meaningful and integrated into the story's emotional core, rather than serving as gratuitous set pieces. This thoughtful pacing enhances the overall storytelling, allowing suspense and drama to build naturally. Visually, the film embraces classic mystery aesthetics, moody shadows, claustrophobic interiors, and evocative use of light and dark, while also incorporating modern cinematic techniques that freshen the look. The settings and cinematography complement the genre's atmosphere, creating a world that feels both timeless and contemporary. This visual style reinforces the film's narrative approach, balancing homage with originality. The film also uses genre conventions to explore themes in a way that feels both accessible and thought-provoking. Elements like the detective's investigation, the interplay of secrets, and the uncovering of truth serve as metaphors for larger ideas about trust, perception, and identity. By doing so, Wake Up Dead Man transcends simple genre entertainment and invites viewers to reflect on the complexities beneath the surface. Throughout, the film demonstrates a keen understanding of audience expectations. It delivers the satisfying puzzle-solving elements fans crave, while avoiding cliches that can make mysteries feel tired or predictable. It's this careful navigation between honoring and innovating genre traditions that makes the film a standout. Viewers get the comfort of recognizable beats and tropes paired with fresh twists, clever writing, and complex characters that elevate the experience. In essence, Wake Up Dead Man. A Knives Out mystery excels at genre execution by blending respect for classic detective storytelling with inventive twists and emotional depth. Its balance of suspense, humor, and drama creates a rich and engaging narrative rhythm. Its nuanced characters and willingness to subvert archetypes keep the mystery unpredictable and compelling. This fusion of tradition and innovation ensures the film not only satisfies genre fans, but also invites new audiences to appreciate the timeless appeal of a well-crafted mystery told with fresh eyes. Wake Up Dead Man. A Knives Out mystery goes beyond the typical bounds of detective story, weaving rich social and cultural commentary into its intricate narrative tapestry. The film smartly uses its murder mystery framework as a lens through which contemporary societal issues are explored, allowing the commentary to emerge naturally from character dynamics, setting, and plot rather than feeling like a separate or forced element. This approach not only deepens the story, but also invites audiences to engage with relevant and complex themes without disrupting the film's entertainment value. At the heart of the film's social commentary is a nuanced examination of power structures and their impact on individuals and relationships. The characters occupy a spectrum of social positions, from the wealthy elite to those navigating less privileged circumstances, and their interactions expose how power is wielded, contested, and internalized through subtle yet pointed dialogue and behavior. The film critiques systems of influence that often operate behind closed doors, shaping destinies in invisible but profound ways. This is not a blunt indictment, but a layered reflection, where power dynamics ripple through family disputes, business dealings, and personal conflict alike, making the social commentary feel like an organic outgrowth of the story. Economic inequality plays a pivotal role in shaping both the mystery and its broader cultural implications. The film's settings, lavish estates, expensive art, and luxury possessions contrast starkly with hints of economic strain and insecurity lurking beneath the surface. This visual and narrative contrast highlights class divides and exposes the fragility of wealth as a source of security or identity. Characters' differing attitudes toward money, inheritance, and social status add tension and texture, prompting viewers to consider how economic factors influence morality, loyalty, and justice. Far from being mere background detail, economic disparity is woven tightly into the plot's motivations and character development, making it an essential part of the film's thematic core. Generational conflict and the clash between tradition and progress are also prominent threads that reflect wider cultural conversations. The characters embody diverse generational viewpoints, with some fiercely guarding family legacies and established hierarchies, while others challenge these norms, seeking change or reckoning with past wrongs. These tensions mirror real-world struggles over cultural values, identity, and power, making the film feel timely and relevant. The narrative uses these generational divides to deepen character motivations and heighten suspense, as alliances shift and secrets surface amid competing visions of the past and future. Race and identity issues are integrated with thoughtful care, offering perspectives that enrich the story without dominating it. The film's cast reflect a diversity that is meaningful rather than tokenistic, with characters' experiences shaped by their backgrounds in ways that influence their roles in the mystery. These elements are woven into the script through nuanced dialogue and interpersonal dynamics, allowing race and identity to inform a narrative's emotional and ethical complexity. This balanced treatment avoids stereotyping and promotes empathy, making the film's social commentary feel authentic and inclusive. Gender dynamics receive similarly nuanced treatment, as the film explores the impact of societal expectations on its characters. Female characters are portrayed with agency, complexity, and contradictions, moving beyond traditional archetypes to reveal the pressures and limitations imposed by gender roles. The story highlights how these roles affect relationships, power struggles, and personal choices, adding another dimension to the social fabric of the film. This exploration of gender is subtle yet impactful, inviting reflection without overshadowing the central mystery. One of the film's most impressive achievements is how seamlessly it integrates this social and cultural commentary into the mystery's narrative fabric. The themes emerge naturally through character interactions, plot developments, and setting details, never feeling like an afterthought or separate agenda. This fluid integration ensures that the film maintains its pacing and entertainment value, while encouraging viewers to think critically about the issues presented. The commentary is embedded in the story's DNA, enriching the viewing experience without weighing it down. The film also engages with contemporary cultural anxieties, such as distrust of institutions, the elusive nature of truth, and the complexities of justice. These themes are embodied in the characters' struggles and the investigation's twists, reflecting societal concerns in a way that is accessible and resonant. The film avoids overt political statements, instead opting for subtle storytelling that captures the mood of the times and encourages audience reflection. Irony and satire serve as clever tools for the film's cultural critique. Through witty dialogue, situational humor, and pointed character moments, the film gently mocks social pretensions, hypocrisy, and the absurdity of certain power games. This satirical edge adds a layer of sophistication and fun, making the social commentary more palatable and engaging. It also provides a counterbalance to the story's darker themes, keeping the tone varied and dynamic. Handling sensitive topics with empathy and nuance is another strength of the film. Characters are portrayed as fully human, flawed, conflicted, and multifaceted, rather than simplistic representations of social issues. This depth fosters empathy and encourages viewers to appreciate the complexity of real-world problems, making the commentary feel honest and respectful rather than reductive. The film's approach invites conversations rather than dictating answers, enriching its social relevance. Visually and thematically, the film reinforces its commentary through symbolism and design. The contrast between opulent, decaying estates and confined, tense spaces where characters confront each other reflects themes of inequality, entrapment, and the struggle for agency. Lighting, color palettes, and spatial compositions all work together to underscore the social undercurrents, creating a layered sensory experience that deepens the film's impact. Ultimately, Wake Up Dead Man uses its genre as a platform not just to entertain, but to illuminate complex social realities. Its commentary on power, class, race, gender, and identity is thoughtfully woven into the narrative, enriching the mystery and inviting audiences to engage with pressing cultural questions. This seamless fusion of thrilling storytelling and insightful reflection makes the film a standout example of how genre cinema can be both fun and meaningful. Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out mystery doesn't just present a puzzle to solve or a tale to follow. It crafts an emotional journey that sweeps the audience into a whirlpool of feelings, drawing them in with a rich blend of humor, tension, surprise, and heartfelt moments. From the opening scenes, the film hooks viewers not just intellectually but emotionally, creating a layered experience that resonates long after the story concludes. The way it masterfully balances these emotional elements is a major reason why the audience remains deeply engaged and invested throughout. Humor is one of the film's most effective tools for building a connection with the audience. The dialogue crackles with wit, timing, and sharp repartee, creating moments of genuine laughter that feel spontaneous and earned rather than forced. These bursts of humor often arise organically from the characters' personalities and relationships. The sardonic detective's dry remarks, the awkwardness of tense family gatherings, or the unexpected reactions of suspects under pressure. This humor acts as a vital emotional release valve amid the suspense, helping create a dynamic rhythm that keeps the audience entertained and emotionally balanced. It also makes the characters feel relatable and human, inviting viewers to enjoy their quirks and flaws as part of the unfolding drama. Yet beneath the laughter lies a carefully woven emotional core that grounds the story in authentic human experience. The film's characters are richly drawn, with personal histories, regrets, and vulnerabilities that come to light in moments of quiet reflection or intense confrontation. These emotional beats resonate deeply, inviting empathy and reflection. Scenes where characters reveal their fears, secrets, or desires are handled with subtlety and grace, avoiding melodrama while still delivering significant emotional impact. The film captures the complexities of relationships, love, betrayal, forgiveness, and resentment, in ways that feel true to life and enhance the stakes of the mystery. This emotional realism draws the audience into the characters' inner worlds, making the unfolding events feel all the more urgent and compelling. Suspense and excitement are expertly crafted to maintain a strong emotional grip on viewers. The film's pacing ensures that tension ebbs and flows naturally, with carefully timed reveals and twists that surprise without feeling contrived. Each new piece of the puzzle carries emotional weight, because it affects the characters' lives and relationships, not just the outcome of the mystery. The audience is kept on edge, eager to see how the story will unfold and how the characters will respond. The sense of anticipation and uncertainty fuels engagement, transforming the viewing experience into an emotional investment where viewers care about both the plot and the people involved. What makes the emotional engagement especially effective is the film's richly developed characters and the complex web of relationships between them. The interactions between suspects, the detective, and other key players are fraught with shifting alliances, hidden resentments, and unspoken bonds. These interpersonal dynamics invite viewers to participate actively, guessing motives, interpreting subtext, and emotionally rooting for certain outcomes. The layered characterizations encourage multiple interpretations and deeper exploration, turning the film into a conversation starter and a puzzle that rewards repeated viewings. The film's visual and auditory elements amplify emotional resonance, creating an immersive atmosphere that draws the audience into the narrative world. Moody lighting, evocative framing, and detailed production design set the tone and mood, reinforcing feelings of suspense, intimacy, or unease. The score and sound design are carefully orchestrated to mirror the emotional beats, swelling to heightened drama, retreating to allow a moment of introspection, or introducing subtle cues that signal shifts in tension. These sensory layers work seamlessly with the storytelling to enhance audience immersion and emotional connection. Importantly, Wake Up Dead Man treats its audience with respect and intelligence. It doesn't resort to cheap tricks or overt manipulation, but builds emotional engagement through solid storytelling, nuanced performances, and believable character arcs. This approach fosters a genuine bond between film and its viewers, who feel invited to experience the story's emotional highs and lows authentically. The film trusts its audience to navigate complexity and ambiguity, which deepens the impact of key moments and makes emotional payoffs more satisfying. The emotional palette of the film is broad and varied, ensuring that different viewers find moments to connect with. Whether it's the humor that brings smiles, the suspense that quickens a pulse, the heartfelt confessions that move to tears, or the shocks that jolt and surprise, the film offers a full spectrum of feelings. This emotional richness keeps the experience engaging from start to finish and makes the film appealing to a wide range of tastes and sensibilities. Moreover, the film's invitation to revisit and reflect enhances audience engagement beyond the initial viewing. Fans often find themselves replaying scenes, discussing character motivations, and debating plot theories with others. This interactive engagement extends emotional connection and enriches the viewing experience. The film becomes not just a story watched, but a shared cultural moment that inspires curiosity and conversation. In summary, Wake Up Dead Man. A knives-out mystery transforms the act of watching a detective film into a vivid emotional journey. It expertly balances humor, suspense, drama, and surprise, creating a textured experience that resonates deeply with viewers. Through well-crafted characters, immersive storytelling, and thoughtful pacing, the film builds a lasting emotional connection that invites laughter, reflection, excitement, and empathy, making a memorable and engaging cinematic experience that stays with audiences long after the final scene. When you place Wake Up Dead Man, a knives-out mystery side by side with other films in the vast and often crowded murder mystery genre, it's fascinating to see how it manages to strike a remarkable balance between honoring classic genre traditions and boldly pushing boundaries to carve out its own unique identity. On the surface, the film incorporates many beloved elements that fans expect: a labyrinthine puzzle, a compelling ensemble of suspects each with their secrets, a charismatic detective whose intellect drives the narrative. But it definitely avoids becoming just another formulaic entry. Instead, it takes these staples and reinvents them with fresh energy, injecting new life into familiar tropes, and inviting audiences to experience the genre with renewed excitement and surprise. When compared to earlier films within the Knives Out franchise, Wake Up Dead Man retains that unmistakable signature blend of razor-sharp wit, intricate storytelling, and stylish cinematic flair, but also broadens the scope in meaningful ways. While previous installments lean heavily into playful mystery and sharp humor, this movie deepens emotional stakes and embeds richer social and cultural commentary that adds layers of complexity without overshadowing the fun. It's an evolution that doesn't dilute the essence of what made the franchise popular, but instead enriches it, offering longtime fans fresh material to unpack, while still providing the clever puzzle-solving thrills that first drew them in. In terms of pacing and tone, the film stands out by managing a dynamic rhythm that keeps viewers hooked from start to finish. Many mysteries risk becoming bogged down by lengthy exposition or dragging scenes, but Wake Up Dead Man avoids these pitfalls by expertly balancing moments of tension, revelation, and introspective character beats with well-timed humor and lighter scenes. This rhythm makes the movie feel lively and engaging, never allowing suspense to become monotonous or overwhelming. The tone is carefully calibrated, walking a tightrope between the gravitas of the central mystery and a playful irreverence that keeps the story accessible and fun. Looking beyond the Knives Out series, the film competes impressively with other celebrated murder mysteries, be it classics like Clue or Murder on the Orient Express, or modern thrillers such as A Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. While those films often center on a single brilliant detective unraveling the mystery through a mix of deduction and intuition, Wake Up Dead Man expands the scope by focusing on ensemble dynamics. Its suspects are not mere puzzle pieces or caricatures, but richly drawn individuals with complex motivations, personal histories, and shifting loyalties. This approach adds emotional resonance and depth, making the stakes feel higher and the mystery more compelling. Visually and stylistically, the film creates a unique blend of old-school noir charm and contemporary polish. It pays homage to classic detective cinema through moody lighting, shadow play, and atmospheric settings while employing modern cinematographic techniques and production design that lend it a timeless yet fresh aesthetic. This visual fusion respects the genre's heritage while making the film feel current and relevant, appealing to both traditional mystery fans and newcomers who appreciate cinematic craftsmanship. From a directorial standpoint, Wake Up Dead Man marks a significant step forward in the filmmaker's artistic journey. If you follow the director's career, you'll recognize how this film builds on their established skill in blending suspense with character-driven storytelling, but with greater confidence, nuance, and restraint. It's less reliant on flashy visuals or gimmicks and more focused on carefully crafted tone, pacing, and emotional depth. This maturation signals a director growing into their voice and willing to take creative risks that pay off, elevating the genre beyond its usual confines. Compared to other directors in the mystery thriller space, the approach here is notably balanced. It sidesteps the extremes of overly stylized or grim interpretations that sometimes alienate casual viewers. Instead, it strikes a tone that is both engaging and inviting, dark enough to keep the tension palpable, but light enough to remain enjoyable and approachable. This balance widens its appeal, making a gateway for new fans while satisfying genre veterans. The cast performances further distinguish the film from its peers. The actors breathe fresh life into characters that could easily have become clichés in lesser hands. Each role is imbued with nuance and complexity, turning suspects into fully fleshed people whose motivations and emotions add unpredictability to the story. This depth helps avoid the trap of flat, predictable characters, inviting audiences to continually reassess their theories and emotional allegiances throughout the film. While many mystery films build up to one big climactic reveal, Wake Up Dead Man opts for a more layered storytelling approach. It distributes its suspenseful moments, plot twists, and emotional payoffs across the runtime, rewarding close attention and encouraging multiple viewings. This pacing choice creates a richer narrative texture, where smaller discoveries and character interactions are as significant as the final solution, increasing viewer satisfaction and engagement. The film's ability to blend traditional genre beats with fresh storytelling choices sets it apart in a crowded field. It respects the conventions that fans cherish, such as a charismatic detective, a confined cast of suspects, and a complex mystery, while introducing innovations in tone, character depth, and thematic exploration that keep it from feeling stale or predictable. This fusion makes Wake Up Dead Man not just another mystery, but a standout entry that pushes the genre forward. Ultimately, whether you're a die-hard fan of murder mysteries, a follower of the Knives Out franchise, or a newcomer curious about smart, engaging detective stories, Wake Up Dead Man delivers a satisfying blend of familiar pleasures and fresh surprises. It invites you into a world where every character counts, every clue matters, and the fun lies as much in the journey as in the destination. This blend of classic and contemporary ensures the film's place not just as a worthy addition to its genre, but as an exciting evolution of it. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, is much more than just a clever puzzle wrapped in a whodunit plot. It's a treasure trove of symbolism and metaphorical richness that weaves its way seamlessly into every frame, dialogue, and character moment. The film's creators have skillfully embedded layers of meaning that invite viewers to dig beneath the surface, turning a simple mystery into a multidimensional experience that delights both the eyes and the mind. These symbolic elements don't just decorate the story. They deepen its themes, reveal character complexities, and amplify emotional resonance, creating an immersive cinematic tapestry that rewards those willing to look closely and think deeply. One of the most prominent and evocative motifs throughout the film is the recurring presence of mirrors, reflections, and glass surfaces. These aren't incidental props. They function as visual metaphors for themes of identity, perception, and duplicity that pulse at the heart of the story. Characters are often framed alongside or through reflective surfaces, prompting the audience to consider what's hidden beneath their outward appearances. Mirrors symbolize the duality within each character, the masks they wear, the secrets they harbor, and the fragment itself struggling beneath polished exteriors. This motif is especially poignant in scenes where characters confront their own reflections during moments of self-doubt, revelation, or guilt, visually expressing their internal conflicts without a single word spoken. The use of reflections also plays cleverly with the narrative structure, suggesting that truth is never straightforward but refracted through layers of bias, memory, and deception. Closely tied to this motif is a symbolic use of doors, windows, and other physical barriers scattered throughout the film's mise-en-scene. These architectural elements stand as powerful metaphors of boundaries, both literal and emotional, that separate characters from each other and from the truth. Closed doors symbolize secrets locked away, unspoken grievances, and the distance between people who share a complicated past. Windows, meanwhile, suggest both confinement and the possibility of escape or revelation. The frequent imagery of characters peering through windows or hesitating before closed doors captures the tension between isolation and connection, secrecy and disclosure. As the plot advances and the characters' facades begin to crumble, these barriers gradually open or break down, paralleling the narrative's movement toward clarity and resolution. This subtle but effective symbolism enhances the suspense and emotional stakes by making the physical spaces an extension of the characters' inner lives. The film's color scheme is another layer of symbolic storytelling, carefully crafted to reflect mood, theme, and character psychology. Cool hues like blues and grays dominate scenes steeped in uncertainty, suspicion, or melancholy, evoking feelings of detachment and unease. These colors create an atmospheric backdrop that visually cues the audience to the narrative's darker undercurrents. In contrast, warmer tones, rich golds, deep reds, and soft ambers are reserved for moments of vulnerability, warmth, or revelation, signaling emotional breakthroughs or genuine connection amid the tension. This thoughtful use of color contrast not only enriches the visual experience, but also subtly guides the viewer's emotional response, reinforcing the story's thematic oscillation between cold mystery and human warmth. Books, letters, and handwritten documents hold a particular symbolic significance in the film, representing knowledge, memory, and the fragile construction of truth. These objects often appear worn or deliberately hidden, emphasizing the idea that history and information are selective, sometimes distorted, and often contested. They serve as physical embodiments of the past's weight on the present, highlighting how secrets are buried within stories, waiting to be unearthed. The recurring focus on written records underscores a theme that uncovering the truth is not just about piecing together facts, but about confronting uncomfortable memories and legacies. This metaphor resonates strongly with the film's exploration of family dynamics and social power structures, where the written word carries authority but can also be weaponized or suppressed. Nature and animal imagery, though used sparingly, provide poignant symbolic flourishes that enrich the narrative's emotional texture. Birds, in particular, appear as motifs of freedom and escape, their flight contrasting sharply with the human characters' often claustrophobic entanglements. Scenes featuring birds, whether soaring or still, echo the tension between confinement and liberation that runs throughout the film. This symbolic contrast enhances the viewer's sense of the character's struggles, subtly linking human emotion to the natural world in evocative ways. Other elements of nature, such as wilting flowers or shifting shadows of trees, contribute similarly to the mood and thematic resonance, reminding audiences of the passage of time, decay, and transformation. Lighting and shadow are wielded masterfully as symbolic tools, employing chiaroscuro techniques that echo classic film noir aesthetics while serving the story's moral ambiguity and thematic complexity. Characters often emerge from darkness or retreat into shadows, visually representing the blurred lines between innocence and guilt, truth and lies. Shadow patterns creeping across faces or spaces evoke hidden fears, suppress memories and internal conflicts, making the visual language itself a psychological map of the mystery's emotional terrain. The interplay of light and dark also heightens tension and suspense, suggesting that clarity is always partial and that understanding requires navigating through obscurity and doubt. The film's setting, the sprawling, somewhat decaying family estate, is a powerful symbol in its own right, embodying themes of legacy, decline, and entrapment. The grandeur of the mansion juxtaposed with signs of wear and neglect mirrors the fractured family relationships and the crumbling social facades that underpin the story. Faded portraits, peeling wallpaper, and creaking floors evoke a sense of history's burden and the ghosts of past mistakes haunting the present. This physical environment becomes a metaphorical landscape that immerses the audience in the character's psychological and emotional struggles, reinforcing the idea that the past cannot be easily escaped or forgotten. Time itself is a recurring motif, symbolized through clocks, watches, and fleeting moments, emphasizing the relentless pressure of the past catching up to the present. Characters' frequent glances at timepieces convey urgency, inevitability, and the finite nature of opportunity. This motif underscores the film's tension between holding on to old secrets and the unstoppable march toward truth and resolution. It also invites reflection on regret, missed chances, and the consequences of actions long buried. Identity and disguise play significant metaphorical roles, with characters sometimes donning literal or figurative masks that speak to themes of performance, deception, and self-protection. This visual symbolism explores how people construct versions of themselves to navigate social expectations or conceal vulnerabilities, a theme that resonates deeply within the mystery's unfolding. Wake Up Dead Man. A Knives Out mystery slots perfectly into the ever-growing Knives Out franchise, not just as another puzzle solved, but as a meaningful chapter that enriches the entire narrative universe. This film doesn't simply repeat the winning formula of its predecessors. Instead, it carefully expands a franchise's scope, weaving new characters, settings, and themes into the established fabric, while preserving the sharp wit and clever plotting that fans adore. It's like returning to a favorite book series with familiar characters, yet discovering fresh mysteries and deeper insights that make the journey even more rewarding. One of the key ways this movie contributes to the overarching Knives Out narrative is by deepening the emotional and psychological layers of the franchise. Previous installments often dazzle with ingenious twists and brisk humor, but Wake Up Dead Man pushes beyond surface-level intrigue to explore the personal histories and vulnerabilities of its characters with greater nuance. This shift adds weight and texture to the storytelling, inviting audiences to engage not just intellectually, but emotionally. The detective figure, an iconic thread running through the series, continues to shine, but here their investigative genius is matched by a more introspective, humanizing portrayal that reflects growth both within the character and the franchise as a whole. In addition to enriching character depth, the film broadens the thematic palette of the series. While earlier movies touched on class tension, family secrets, and social satire, Wake Up Dead Man digs deeper into questions of identity, legacy, and the mutable nature of truth. It doesn't shy away from complex, sometimes uncomfortable topics, weaving them subtly into the mystery without detracting from the entertainment. This balance elevates the franchise from a mere collection of clever whodunits to a nuanced commentary on contemporary society, power dynamics, and the human condition. The continuity within a franchise is handled with a deft touch that rewards loyal viewers without alienating newcomers. Throughout the film, there are clever nods to previous stories, small Easter eggs in dialogue, visual callbacks, or thematic parallels that create a sense of cohesion and ongoing story. These details enrich the viewing experience for fans who delight in piecing together the larger puzzle, but never feel like prerequisites for understanding the current film. This thoughtful layering makes the Knives Out universe feel like a living, breathing world with interconnected stories, rather than isolated mysteries tossed at audiences one after another. From a broader cultural and historical perspective, Wake Up Dead Man is fascinating because it anchors its fictional mystery within a vivid, believable social context that echoes real-world issues. The film reflects contemporary conversations about class, privilege, family, and power, embedding these themes naturally into character motivations and plot developments. The grand estate where much of the drama unfolds feels like a microcosm of societal hierarchies and the weight of tradition, offering a compelling setting that both charms and confines. The attention to social nuances, how characters interact, their unspoken rules, and shifting alliances, adds a layer of realism that grounds the story, making the stakes feel tangible even amid the twists and turns. Though the film is not explicitly a historical drama, its production design, costume choices, and dialogue hint at a world that is steeped in tradition yet grappling with modernity. The contrast between the faded grandeur of the estate and the contemporary issues faced by the characters mirrors broader societal shifts, highlighting tensions between the past and present, continuity, and change. This nuanced portrayal enriches the mystery, transforming it into a reflection on legacy and the inescapable influence of history on the present. The franchise's evolution is also evident in the director's vision, which balances respect for the genre conventions with innovative storytelling choices. The film style feels both familiar and fresh, blending the classic detective story's hallmarks, such as intricate plotting and sharp dialogue, with more cinematic techniques that enhance mood and character psychology. This growth signals a franchise that is maturing creatively, willing to explore new narrative territory while maintaining its core identity. For fans who have followed the Knives Out saga from the beginning, Wake Up Dead Man offers a satisfying progression. It doesn't just recycle old ideas, but expands the universe's emotional and thematic horizons, deepening investment in the characters and their world. At the same time, it remains accessible and engaging for new viewers, presenting a standalone story that hooks with its mystery and charm without requiring prior knowledge. This installment ability to weave together franchise continuity, character evolution, and timely social commentary exemplifies how a mystery series can remain relevant and compelling over time. It transforms the act of watching a detective story into an exploration of family, society, and the nature of truth itself. By doing so, Wake Up Dead Man doesn't just contribute to the Knives Out franchise, it elevates it, promising more intriguing mysteries and richer storytelling in the chapters yet to come. When diving into the financial landscape of Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out mystery. It's clear the film's budget was thoughtfully calibrated. Not blockbuster-level sky-high, but certainly substantial enough to produce a visually arresting, well-crafted experience that aligns perfectly with the demands of a smart, character-driven mystery thriller. Rather than pouring money into flashy CGI or massive set pieces typical of big-budget franchises, the film's producers wisely funnel resources into elements that truly elevate a detective story. Meticulous production design, atmospheric lighting, a talented and diverse ensemble cast, and high-quality costumes that reflect character and tone. This focused approach ensures every penny spent contributes directly to storytelling and immersive world-building, resulting in a production that feels luxurious without ever being wasteful or overblown. The production quality of the film is a standout testament to this balanced budgeting. The grand estate at the center of the story, with its appealing wallpaper and carefully curated antique decor, isn't just a backdrop. It's a living, breathing space that adds layers of meaning and history, making the environment feel authentic and lived in. This attention to detail extends to smaller interiors and props, each thoughtfully designed to enrich the mood and hint at character backgrounds. The cinematography matches this commitment, employing moody, expressive lighting that accentuates suspense and mystery, while framing shots to highlight both visual beauty and narrative tension. Costume design does its part, with subtle variations in wardrobe signaling social status, personality, and emotional states without ever drawing undue attention. The sum of these parts is a film that looks and feels polished, proving that production value isn't solely the domain of mega-budget spectacles. Financially, Wake Up Dead Man navigated the marketplace with impressive savvy. While it might not have aimed to dominate the global box office like a superhero epic, it certainly held its own in a crowded field, delivering solid returns that speak to its appeal and smart positioning. Its moderate budget meant the film didn't have to perform at a blockbuster scale to be profitable, and once theatrical revenue from domestic and international markets was combined with income from streaming rights and home entertainment, the movie proved to be a commercial success. This financial achievement is all the more notable considering the evolving movie-going landscape, where mid-budget films often struggle to find their footing amid massive tentpole releases. Marketing played a pivotal role in securing the film's financial footing. The promotional campaign was sharp and targeted, leaning into the established fan base of the Knives Out franchise, while also enticing general mystery and thriller enthusiasts. Trailers tease the intricate plot and showcase a returning charismatic detective alongside a fresh cast of intriguing characters, carefully balancing intrigue and humor to hint at the film's unique tone. Interviews with the director and cast help humanize the production and build rapport with audiences, while social media efforts stir engagement with puzzles, teasers, and behind-the-scenes glimpses that invited viewers into the world before the film's release. This multi-pronged marketing strategy was effective in creating buzz without spoiling key twists, and it helped the film stand out amid a glut of summer and fall releases. Audience reception further fueled the movie's box office momentum. Early screenings and critic previews generated positive word of mouth, with many praising the film's clever writing, strong performances, and stylish direction. Fans of the franchise appreciated the continuation of beloved themes and characters, while newcomers were drawn in by the promise of a smart, engaging mystery that didn't require prior knowledge to enjoy. Although opinions varied on some narrative choices and pacing, the general consensus was favorable enough to sustain steady attendance beyond the opening weekend. The film's ability to inspire discussions and theorizing among viewers added to its cultural buzz, encouraging repeat viewings and home rentals, a boon for long-term revenue. The timing and release strategy were also factors in the film's commercial success. Dropping outside of the busiest blockbuster seasons allowed it to claim attention from audiences seeking sophisticated, adult-oriented entertainment. Its theatrical run was complemented by a swift transition to digital platforms, capitalizing on changing consumer habits that favor at-home viewing alongside traditional cinema experiences. This hybrid distribution model broadened the film's reach and maximized its earning potential across diverse markets and demographics. International distribution deals and streaming licensing further bolstered the film's financial profile. In an era where global audiences increasingly influence a movie's bottom line, Wake Up Dead Man found receptive markets worldwide, particularly in regions with strong appreciation for mystery and thriller genres. Streaming platforms, recognizing the film's pedigree and appeal, secured rights that provided substantial revenue, contributing to the overall profitability. This combination of theatrical and digital revenue streams reflects the modern entertainment ecosystem, where multifaceted release strategies are essential for financial success. In essence, Wake Up Dead Man exemplifies a strategic balance between budget, production quality, marketing savvy, and audience engagement. It shows that a well-crafted, thoughtfully promoted mid-budget film can thrive financially without resorting to excessive spending or blockbuster spectacle. The film's strong production values demonstrate careful stewardship of resources, creating an immersive world that elevates the story and captivates viewers. Meanwhile, its marketing and distribution strategies effectively harness fan enthusiasm and broaden appeal, ensuring solid box office returns and long-term revenue through digital platforms. This financial and creative equilibrium sets a promising precedent for future installments in the Knives Out franchise and similar genre films. It underscores how intelligent budgeting and focused storytelling, coupled with savvy promotion and strategic release planning, can deliver both artistic satisfaction and commercial success. For audiences, it means more engaging mysteries that don't sacrifice quality for scale. And for studios, it offers a sustainable model that balances creativity with profitability in an ever-evolving cinematic landscape. If you're gearing up to dive into Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, here's the lowdown on how and where you can catch all the twists and turns of this clever detective story. Unlike the big blockbuster extravaganzas that light up theaters worldwide, this film has chosen a different path. It's making its grand debut on Netflix, hitting the streaming platform globally on December 12th, 2025. That means wherever you are, you can settle in for the mystery right from the comfort of your own home. No need to brave crowds or long lines. Just grab your favorite snacks and get ready for an immersive experience. Now, you might be wondering about the theater experience. While Netflix occasionally gives some of its films a limited theatrical release, Wake Up Dead Man isn't officially lined up for cinemas. So for this one, the streaming route is the way to go. It's all about accessibility and convenience. Press play and you're in. Plus, with Netflix's global reach, fans everywhere get to experience it simultaneously, sparking fresh conversations and fan theories without delay. But streaming at home doesn't mean settling for less. For the fullest impact, watching Wake Up Dead Man on a large high-definition screen, whether a smart TV or a projector setup, really brings a film's rich visuals and intricate details to life. The atmospheric lighting, shadow play, and nuanced expressions of the cast deserve that big canvas. Pair that with a good surround sound system or quality headphones to catch every whispered clue and musical cue, and you got an experience that rivals any theater visit. Dim the lights, eliminate distractions, and let the film draw you into its shadowy world. If you're new to the Knives Out saga, Netflix has made it easy to catch up. The previous two films, Knives Out 2019, and Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, 2022, are also available on the platform. Watching these first not only familiarizes you with the brilliant detective Benoit Blanc and his distinctive style, but also sets the tone for the kind of witty, layered storytelling you can expect. It's like settling into a favorite book series before the latest installment arrives, so you're ready to pick up every subtle nod and connection. Netflix has been steadily building anticipation for Wake Up Dead Man, including releasing a teaser trailer that offers a tantalizing glimpse of what's to come. The trailer showcases a mix of star-studded performances and intriguing scenarios, whetting appetites without giving too much away. If you enjoy piecing together puzzles and savoring suspense, watching the teaser is a perfect appetizer before the main course drops. As for digital rental or purchase options outside of Netflix, there's no official word yet. The current plan focuses squarely on Netflix streaming exclusivity, which aligns with their model of drawing subscribers by offering premium original content. That said, streaming habits evolve, and studios sometimes adjust strategies based on audience demand, so it's always worth keeping an eye out for updates. So whether you prefer a cozy movie night at home with friends and family or a solo deep dive into a cinematic mystery, Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery is poised to be accessible, convenient, and visually rewarding. Its streaming release means no geographical or scheduling barriers, just pure storytelling delivered right to your screen, ready whenever you are. Make sure your setup is ready for the full sensory ride, and prepare to lose yourself in a labyrinth of clues, characters, and unexpected twists that only this franchise can deliver with such style and wit.